All right. Hey, y'all. Thanks for joining our Beef Brunch News Update for Tuesday, May 30th. Um, we've switched up gears just a little bit today. Doesn't affect y'all too much, but Lee and I are actually recording this on Tuesday, a little bit later than we normally even send it out due to the Memorial Day holiday and meetings this morning and everything else. So Vince had to be in a meeting. I think I don't remember, Rotary or Lions Club or somebody. He had a meeting today, so he wasn't able to join us, but he did send a little bit of an update for Central and South Louisiana. So I'm going to read through that really quick before I turn it over to Lee. So from Vince, conditions have been reasonably dry but warm and have been favorable to jumpstart the warm season forages and pastures and hayfields. Most producers have made an attempt and were able to go ahead and get a first cutting of hay put up. Somewhat lower yields than expected due to the extended cool spring, as we've been seeing. Herbicide applications and fertilizer will be applied following this first cutting with anticipation of a more typical and higher yielding cutting later this summer. Most spring cow workings are complete and bulls are turned out for the spring breeding season. At the local markets, prices are strong for all classes of cattle, and I know Lee's going to touch on that here in just a little bit. Producers have been pleased with calf prices moving forward. He also wanted to note that fuel prices are somewhat down from a year ago. Likewise for fertilizer, which has been helpful on the input side of things as we get started, particularly here with this year's hay season. So again, that's from Vince for our Central and South Louisiana. Lee, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you. I know we always say Northwest Louisiana, but I feel like what you're saying for Northwest is going to also coincide with everything we need for the Northeast. So you're going to give a general North Louisiana update for us.
We'll see what we can do with it, Ashley. Good day, everyone. Glad to be with you all here today. Echo a lot of what Vince has stated. It's fairly hot and getting dry in corners of northern Louisiana. I know, especially over towards the northeast part of the state, I think they picked up some rain, some scattered thunderstorms in the last few days. Over the weekend. In fact, I was over that way and ran into some rain. But as far as Northwest goes, it is drying out in pockets, folks. A lot of people are kind of concerned about it. And, it's the time of year where it's obvious we've moved into the summer weather pattern where things dry up a little bit and you start to run into these pop-up summer thunderstorms and whatnot. But been very hot, very humid. A lot of people are fairly concerned about the dry conditions, and that's pretty much region wide. A lot of hay has been made over the last 2 weeks, just simply because it's been dry. We've had plenty of drying time. Um, Something Vince included in his report that I'm going to echo, so kind of a theme going here, is yields on hay. Talked to a lot of producers in the last couple of weeks that have been getting that first cutting out of the way, and almost to a T, every one of them is complaining about yields. And the ones that don't complain about yields are complaining about maturity level, especially if they had some winter forages out there like some volunteer ryegrass and stuff. It was got very mature on a lot of producers and led to lower quality hay being put up. So people are kind of waiting with bated breath to see what the future holds on the weather. Talked to a producer last night who was trying to get a little closer to some better rain chances before he fertilized his second cutting. But people are overall optimistic. I think we've got some pretty good rain chances uh, coming here in the next weekend or early next week for sure. Pastures though look good. There's still enough soil moisture there that we're able to grow some grass. Bermuda grass is looking really good since we got past that cold period. It seemed like it wasn't that long ago. It was still fairly cool at nights. But the Bermuda grass, Bahia grass is growing, especially areas that may have gotten a little more moisture, may have gotten a random shower in the last few weeks. They're looking a little better. winter forage is done, folks. I don't have to tell y'all that. You can look out your window probably and tell that. But the general consensus, I guess, when you talk to people, is a kind of a mixed bag on this year's winter forage season. Some people I talked to had pretty decent years. A lot have underperforming winter forages. Talked to a guy the other day who was talking about a white clover stand, some of the best white clover that he's ever had, and yielded the most. Really pleased with his production, but I would say the majority would be a little bit negative on the overall winter forage production this year. And that may be attributed to the cold snaps we got to just kind of set things back, folks. A lot of, I wouldn't say there's a lot of cattle being worked, but there's a lot of cattle being penned and rushed to get fall born calves to market right now. And any yearlings that may be held over from those winter pastures, they're leaving this country in a rapid rate. And that's due to these markets, folks. They are simply on fire. A lot of times I sound like a pessimist and talking about these markets and talking about how they stagnate and kind of bellyache and moan a little bit. Well, folks, I'm going to tell you, things are red hot right now. If you got marketable cattle in any class, now's a pretty good time to market them. Uh, get asked the question frequently, well, how long is it going to last? How long is it going to last? If I knew that, I'd be doing something, making a lot more money than what I do. But rather than asking how long it lasts, if you enjoy the profit while it's there, which the argument can be made that profit is not as much as it was in 2014 for sure, due to these rising input prices. We've seen just a brief moderation in fertilizer prices. Feed prices have held pretty steady. I know Ashley will give a report on that. But I can't state enough how hot this cattle market is right now, folks. And so I do have kind of my compilation of Louisiana livestock markets from last week. And just want to remind you, it's been a few weeks since we talked and since I gave one of these reports. I just want to remind you folks that these are self-reported numbers. They're coming from the sale barns, and I believe the information is credible, or I wouldn't report it. But you got to understand that not everybody kind of counts the same. And one thing that's missing from all these market reports is some quality information, and that can really sway the price a little bit. So what I'm going to report is the average of ranges, folks, and then I'm going to report a high and a low, or low and a high for each class of cattle. So I'll jump right into it. And one other asterisk before I deliver this. Um, so the data that I'm pulling from this week was I didn't get quite as much data from as many barns as what I normally do. So take it with a grain of salt, but I do still think that it's some valid data. So I'll quit yakking about the asterisks and I'll get started on giving the report. 500 to 600 pound steers. The average of the range is $1.19 a pound to $2.43 a pound. Low being 73 cents a pound, high being $2.52 a pound, folks. On the heifer mates, 5 to 6 weight heifer mates of that, the average of the ranges is $1.14 to $2.15. Low being 80 cents a pound, high being $2.32 a pound. Moving on into the killing cows, our slaughter cows, and just want to remind you that when I'm compiling this data, I throw out the thin cows off this deal because that can really swing these values. These cows that are in an ultra low body condition score and that really should have been marketed 6 8 months ago, if not a couple of years ago. But anyway, so with that being said, the average of the ranges was 55 cents a pound to $1.28 a pound. Low being 46, high of $1.65, folks. I really wonder what the story is on that killing cow that brought $1.65. That's pretty unique there. Bull side, just as good. Low average of the range is 77 cents a pound to $1.21 a pound. low being 65, high being $1.25. So these Packer bulls, these killing bulls, are still up there, folks. Once again, they continue to be on up there as far as prices go. On the pair cattle, the data was pretty sparse for it, but I'm going to report what I've got. Um, Average ranges 675 to 2016. Low being 650 and the high being 2200, folks. On the bred cattle side, not going to report the low end of the average because I think it's some skewed data there. But the average of the highs was 1383, with the high being 1400. Uh, Folks, I'm going to give you my opinion. It's hard to look at the prices on these pairs and the bred cattle because you don't know what kind of type cattle these are that are running through that are making these prices. The auction markets we're pulling data from could have had a big run of really good cows, stocker replacement cows, and that can, of course, swing the prices higher. It could have been a slow week on the replacement cows and brings the prices lower. But as a whole, folks, I'm going to be honest with you. I still think that the price on these stocker replacement cows hadn't caught up to the calf market. When we're talking about 5 to 6 weight steers bringing $1.19 to $2.43 a pound, and then you drop back and say that even on the high side, you're buying good pair cattle for $2,000 a pair, folks. We just hadn't caught up yet. But anyway, we're seeing a lot of these fall cattle, fall born calves, uh, hitting the market. As I stated earlier, some of the runs at these local barns has been fairly high for this time of year. We're getting into a time period though where we see these larger runs starting to build through the summer and on into fall. Um, but other than that, it's pretty quiet. Other than the dry conditions, the hay, and penning cattle to send cattle to market. Folks, glad to be with y'all, and I'll turn it back over to you, Ashley.
Thank you, sir. Another thing Lee and I were visiting about earlier this morning is flies are starting to get bad. I know a lot of y'all are seeing that. We've been working cows and calves at the Dean Lee station the last couple of weeks and are seeing that too. So um, just as a reminder, you do want to rotate classes of treatments that you're using. And we've got a couple of resources for you on those. So while Lee was doing his market reports and everything, I was pulling up links to 2 different videos. So back in 2020, Jason Holmes did a webinar, so a full, I think it was 30 minutes or so webinar on external parasite control methods. And so I've got that linked. And then I think in 2021, Vince did a shorter virtual field day video. And so that's specific to hornfly management control methods. And so I've got that linked as well. So y'all can go into the little description and click on either one of those. If you have trouble accessing them or can't find them, please reach out to me or Lee, and one of us will get those for you. With that, we really don't have a whole lot left to, I guess, to really go over today. There's not really any big events that we have scheduled for y'all as far as the Ag Center goes. Just as a reminder, feel free to reach out to us at any point in time with whatever it is that we can help you with. And if we don't know the answer or have the resources, we will find that for y'all. We hope that y'all stay cool and are able to get some hay up. And we will be back with y'all in just a couple of weeks. Okay, y'all. Sorry for a little bit of delay in getting the markets to y'all. It's been a day trying to get all this and get it all put together for you. So sorry we did not include this in the regular portion of our news update, but did want to come in and include some of the markets for the week ending May 26th. So you'll see our shorthand here, and my shorthand, I guess, nothing super fancy, but you'll see choice box beef closed the week at $301.36. That is an increase in $1.56 from the previous week. And the choice select spread was $17.77, which was up $1.87 compared to the previous week. I did want to note that compared to our previous news update 2 weeks ago, choice box beef decreased $5.27, and the choice select spread is down $4.10. Due to the holiday weekend, there were no slaughter reports. For our calf prices, 500 to 550 pound steers, mediums and large ones and twos. Again, this is an average between Oklahoma and Mississippi. Those did average at $242, which is up $17 from our report 2 weeks ago. Then our 750 to 800 pound feeder steers, medium and large ones and twos, sold at an average of $197.50, which is up about $3.50 compared to 2 weeks ago. On our kill cows, I only had the Mississippi report. So lean cull cows ended the week at 87 cents, which is up about 2 pennies. Boning utility was ended the week at 96 cents, which was up about 2 pennies. And then breakers ended the week at 94 cents, which is down about 3 pennies. Moving into our feedstuffs, I know Lee alluded to these a little bit earlier. So again, any comparisons that, even though I don't have it noted, any comparisons made here are compared to 2 weeks ago when we were with you last. So soybean meal is down $30.70 at $432.20 a ton. Soybean hulls held steady at 140. Rice bran steady at 200. Cottonseed meal down $15 at $362.50. Whole cottonseed down $25 at $275. Corn gluten feed meal is at $7.25. That is down $40 from the previous news update. DDGs were at $252.67. And then corn, this is a new crop, is at $5.08 a bushel.